your people about my people. How much more talk is left to craft in front of a camera when you've spoken to thousands of lenses already? How hard is it to print each speech, knowing you must quite talk a little bit, but have nothing to truly say? Tell me please, who feeds you these words? For the higher up is supposedly you. I shut my eyes and let out a sigh to pause yelling on the page. I cursed all their names and all their titles and all their positions for what they did to me, for what they did to us, all of us. I prayed for the day to come when I could see each of their bodies sizzle and scorch in the fiery pits of hell, and it leaves their bodies charred until they have their superior skin all over again. I prayed that each night they lie asleep in their wealthy mattresses, their hearts uneasy, and they see daggers and chains and images far worse than demons in 4 dimensions for what they did to us. I prayed they dream of dark, ugly trees with prickly thorns and intoxicating odors wrapped like a cobra around their throats. I want them to see it right in front of their eyes, and I want them to witness themselves suffer from the perspective of an outsider, while they stare at their faces in horror as their lungs grasp for air, but to no avail. No avail, their faces shift from violet tones to the deepest blues, and the thought of that is enough to keep my heart from tightening. I don't want them to rot in hell, God no, I want them to stay fresh and ripe like a bold red apple that never dies and just occupy the fire like they own an office chair in it. They will never rot. They will reside with the rest of their other pawns, drinking bubbling blood as they have never done so on this earth. And that is enough to keep my heart from blowing. I dried my eyes, gripping my pen, and continued to write. I've said everything there possibly was to say for the past 11 months. Yet I still write. And tomorrow is the 12th month. And I still write and write and write like a duckling. When I try to tell your people about my people. I still write to you and your people, whom I hope I will die a long and severely excruciating death, and no longer will your pristine smiles remind me that of a crocodile's. I still write in rage at your fitted navy suits and tailored blazers and photos of your waves on your private planes, and I continue to send letters about your headlines and your phrases. Letter after letter. Letter after letter, your responses beg the question, who feeds you these words? Letter after letter, I write to end the suffering, the anguish, the atrocities, the horrors, these so-called unhuman people, my people, the ones you left out of your script. I then jotted a short template I would later edit for each one of those devils. I wrote to them and their bosses and their superiors and their minions. I wrote till the pen could hardly make out what its job was. I wrote about genocide and slaughter. I wrote about mothers, sons, and daughters. I wrote to you in the most formal of tongue. I wrote to you to urge you and to end the atrocious wheezing of drones above our heads. I wrote to tell you about Beirut and the south and all that is in between. I wrote about the limbs of Palestine. I told you about Gaza. I told you about refugees. I told you about Lebanon. I told you about me. I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote to a swine with a pearl necklace and a slick back bun, because what would a swine know about making a different noise than the one that it already does? I wrote to you to tell your people about my people. A stack of sheets awaits your signature, and you sign and sign and sign until you reach the one that's mine. Oh, pardon, them. Those people are the names that you can't pronounce, or are they names that your tongue withdraws? I believe they're names that end up in a file drawer of some sort as you assure us you're working on the cause. Perhaps your TV is broken, or maybe the headlines don't cross your path, or maybe you just weren't told, or perhaps, again, your chair is far too tall and high that you couldn't make out our faces. But do you not see the red-stained hands held high for each of your eyes? Have you not seen the gift we left for you? Outside your door, oval-shaped presents wrapped in white mesh with a splash of red on each of their ends. We've left all of it for you as courtesy for all that you have done for us when we wrote to you to tell your people about our people. An olive and thyme-scented wax cube and a tablespoon over a flare of low heat. With the DNA of my tongue, I sealed the envelope and poured the melted wax over the tip of its center. I felt a sense of pleasure in the slight burning sensation as I dug my fingerprint into the wax to seal, knowing it reminds you where it came from. And knowing its hefty scent will cast a spell on your lips to utter a word you dare not acknowledge. Letter after letter after letter, and one letter further. I am writing to you to tell your people about my people. And I will write to you once more.